What we doing for supper, I guess. I don't know. Let me straighten up my desk up here. Yes. The live stream is ready? Oh, yeah, it's gonna be behind. So you got YouTube and all that? Okay. All right. All right, let's call the meeting to order. The invocation, Alderman Ashby, please, sir.
Dear Heavenly Father, we're just so thankful for this day, Lord. We thank you for your gracious love that you give us each and every day. We just ask that you would join us tonight in our meeting, Lord, that you would keep things in the spirit that you have and not that we have. We love you and we ask these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Pledge of Allegiance, Alderman Lachele, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Chuck Ashby. Here. Katie Shasso. Bride Core.
Present.
Jeff Doré. Here. Dickie Lachele. Here. Vernon Martin. Here. Sandy Marks. Here. Samuel Reggie.
Here.
Byron Wilridge.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, we will recess the council meeting and open up the public hearing for the purpose of to consider levying additional or increased millage rates without further voter approval or adopting the adjusted millage rates after reassessment and rolling forward to the rates not to exceed the prior year's maximums.
Consider levying additional taxes or increased millage rate without further voter approval or adopting the adjusted millage rates after reassessment and rolling forward to the rates not to exceed the prior year's maximum. The millage for the amount of revenues, the amount of the increased taxes for the general alimony tax. The amount of revenue is $688,276.61 for an increase of $67,844.41. Streets, roads, highways, and avenues, the amount of revenue is $491,626.15 with an increase of $48,179.36. Public buildings and drainage is $491,626.15 with the same $48,179 increase. Public parks and recreation, $293,009.19 with an increase of $28,514.32. Wastewater disposal facilities, $341,188.55 with an increase of $33,430.58. Cemetery, $73,743.92 with an increase of $6,882.77. The Youth Recreation Building Fund, $97,341.98 and an increase of $9,832.52. Fire and Police Departments, $491,626.15 with an increase of $48,179.36. And we're here tonight to have a public hearing on the proposal to adopt this increased millage, the levy by the council. First call for anyone wishing to speak in favor of this tax levy. First call for the proponents. Second call for the proponents. Anyone wishing to come forward at this time, please step forward to the microphone. Third and final call. No one coming forward at this time. We ask that the opponents, if anyone would like to speak in opposition to this, please come forward at this time. First call for the opponents. Second call for the opponents. Third and final call. Anyone wishing to come forward? Mayor, no one has come forward. I ask that you close the hearing.
Thank you, sir. Go to number B, or letter B.
This is a proposed ordinance, hearing for the proposed ordinance number 1543. This is an ordinance to annex and include within the corporate limits of the city of Crowley that certain tract or parcel of land consisting of 16.393 acres situated in Section 29, Township 9 South, Range 1 East, Acadia Parish, Louisiana, belonging to Theodore S. Carmichael and Judy Chasson Carmichael, by defining the outer boundaries of said tract of land containing 16.393 acres, as shown on that certain plat of survey showing the property to be annexed by the city of Crowley, Crowley being 16.393 acres, located in Section 29, Township 9 South, Range 1 East, Acadia Parish, Louisiana, prepared by Ryan P. Hebert, professional registered land surveyor, to be dated when we do the final completion of this, located adjacent to VFW Drive and the south boundary of Interstate 10, which lies just west of the existing corporate boundary of the city of Crowley, and which tract is proposed to be included within the corporate limits of the city of Crowley, to provide that said tract be rezoned C3 Highway Commercial District, and are such variances of special considerations as may be required for other limited uses, to provide for said property so annexed to be part of Ward 1 of the city of Crowley, to provide the property so annexed shall be part of above included within the special gateway overlay district, District 1 North, to amend and enlarge the corporate boundary of the city of Crowley, Acadia Parish, Louisiana, by redefining the corporate boundary to include within the corporate boundary of the said property, to provide for the effective date of the ordinance, to provide for all provisions thereof to be severable, and to repeal all ordinances or parts of ordinances inconsistent herewith or in conflict hereto, and to provide for all matters relative thereto. So, public hearing, again, we use the same procedure. The first call for the proponents of the ordinance, please step forward. Anyone wish to speak in favor of the annexation? Second call for the proponents, anyone wish to speak in favor? Third and final call for the proponents anyone wishing to speak in favor of this. Mayor, I'd like to make a statement for the record on behalf of the city that these documents that we're talking about have certain blanks in them for dates and completion of the plats and circumstances that a final drawing to be made with, those will be inserted. We have those documents that are being attached. There are attachments to this ordinance, and they were presented at the committee meetings. You've all seen those attachments and all. There are also some other agreements that are being worked on at this time for servitudes to extend city services out to those properties and to serve the adjacent subdivision. With that said, we've asked that anyone wishing to oppose this come forward at this time. First call for the opponents. Second call, anyone wishing to speak against this ordinance, please step forward. Third and final call for the opponents. See no one coming forward, Mayor, I ask that you close the hearing.
All right, public hearing closed. We will reopen the city council meeting. Appearances, Dr. Michelle Calloway with the Delta Sigma Theta sorority, if you would, please, ma'am. We'll give you a moment to speak here. This is not on the agenda, but obviously I want to allow our people to speak, so we'll give you a point of privilege here to address the council as you wish. Please push the button and yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Good evening. To the Honorable Mayor Chad Monceau and our illustrious elected and appointed officials, I bring you greetings from the Crowley Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, where our chapter president is Mrs. Sharon B. Rawls, and our social action chair is Ms. Christy Johnson. I greet you on their behalf, as well as the members of our historic chapter, which in 2025, we will be celebrating 50 years, half a century of sisterhood, scholarship, service, and social action. I'm going to ask my sorority sisters who are here, others are on their way, but I'm going to ask them to stand. Our chapter president, Mrs. Rawls, and the others who are with me right now. Thank you. By now, I trust you have both received and viewed a video presentation from our chapter, which was sent to Mayor Monceau, Alderman Martin, and Alderman Wilrich. Unfortunately, because of potential and/or pending litigation, the video will not be shown in a public setting. Though I can't publicly display what was in the video, what I can do is describe what was in the video. And that was numerous photographs and videos of long-standing, abandoned, and blighted properties that are located smack dab in the middle of West Crowley and South Crowley communities. The video shares the plight experienced by Mrs. Willie Mae Bias, a property owner and one of the esteemed senior citizens in the West Crowley community. Mrs. Bias has to not only daily contend with the visual assault posed by the abandoned and blighted properties in her neighborhood, but she also has to daily contend with the threat posed by what we call varmints, possums, rats, and snakes. Those critters that are attracted to and even inhabit these abandoned buildings. Mrs. Bias, other senior citizens, children, and young people live under these hazardous conditions. And they live with the mental, physical, and emotional toll presented by this extremely unsightly, neglected, uninhabited, and very ugly reality. We're not speaking of one abandoned property, or even two. No, not one lot or field with uncut grass well over 5 feet tall, the length of which, or the height, I should say, of which, by the way, is a clear indication of just how long that grass has grown uncut. We're talking about properties that are so numerous, I literally became depressed just riding around taking pictures. We're speaking of a saturation of blight. In the video, we shared 2 words from Webster's dictionary. The first word is blight, which is defined as a deteriorated condition. Interestingly enough, blight is also defined as something that frustrates plans or hopes, and something that impairs or destroys. In addition to living with the physical, mental, and emotional devastation presented by the saturation of these blighted properties, homeowners live with frustrated financial hopes. They wonder, how will my property ever increase in value? The second word that we defined in that video was normalize. Normalize means to make something conform to or reduce something to a norm or a standard. The saturation of blighted properties in West Crowley and South Crowley has been going on for so long, it's been normalized. It's what you see. It's what you expect. Drive down the street. Or like Mrs. Bias, bless her heart, step out of your front door and see abandoned, falling down, ramshackle houses that may or not be boarded up. Normal. Sky-high grass that hasn't been cut since Huck was a pup. Normal. Oh my goodness, there's a possum waddling across the yard to that vacant house, and it wouldn't be that calm we wouldn't be saying it that calmly. Oh, there's a possum. Normal. Yikes. There's a huge rat. Normal. The railroad property located along Marcel Thomas Avenue and Grady E. Poulard, formerly 7th Street, is unfortunately an accident waiting to happen. Why? Because the weeds are so tall and have gone uncut for so long, the driver's views are restricted. Our property owners know and understand that many of these blighted properties have been vacant for a number of years, many of them for decades. Many of the owners of these blighted properties, they don't even live in the state. That means they're not voters here. But guess what? We are. And if you're familiar with the black church and black preachers at all, I'm going to quote one of them, and I'm going to say, I'm closing. They say I'm closing, but then they preach for 15 more minutes. So, what do we want? Why are we here again? We want you to know that we are tired. My heart aches for Mrs. Bias, who, instead of enjoying her retirement, instead of being freely able to go out in her yard and putter around with gardening and with plants, has to stay inside and be faced with the onslaught of ugliness every time she steps out of her front door to go to church or to the store. We want you to know that we need to know what your plan is. What's your concrete plan? How and when are you going to successfully address the saturation of blight in our communities? Blight that is commonplace, and there's that word, normalized. What's the short-term plan? What's the long-term plan? As we stated in the video, we are not here to blame, but we are here to hold you accountable. We know and we understand that many of these issues have been inherited from previous administrations. We know that. But at what point will the discussion be made to do something that is tangible? When will you decide to change what's been normalized, change the status quo, change what Mrs. Bias lives with and has lived with for a number of years? When will you decide to make a new normal for every area of the city? Not just the pretty views we see on the video, on the website, but those areas where we live and where we work and where we go to church. When will everyone be able to have it nice and easy? And I want to say this to you all, each and every one of you. Some of you I know personally or have greeted or shaken your hand. Ms. Marks comes to our events often. The mayor does. Many of you do. Alderman Martin and Alderman Realrich, many of you. We want you to know we're here because we care. We cared enough about you to elect you, to vote for you. We are vested in your success because when you succeed, we succeed. Mayor Monso, we're vested in your success. Alderman Martin, we are vested in your success. Alderman Wilridge, we are vested in your success. We're vested in your success. All of you are elected and appointed city leaders and workers. We're vested in you, and we're all in this together. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for addressing the council. Certainly, I agree. I agree. I'll tell you that the code enforcement's report for last week, for last month, had 48 or 49 tall grass letters sent out, violations. 18 were able to be cut throughout the month of last month. And I've got a list here beginning on July 1st through today. And she was stuffing envelopes that's not on this list today. There's been 25 violations, letters that are being sent out for, this is just tall grass. So we're talking about 75 or more tall grass violations within a month and a half that have been processed. I'll tell you that when I can, if I know the owner of the property and I know how to get in touch with the owner, I'll try to call them first and say, hey, it's time to cut your grass. Because that's normally a much quicker process. Unfortunately, the process, the legal process that we have to follow is if you would call today, if you would call City Hall and say, Chad's grass is tall and needs to be cut, that complaint would be put in. They would make a list for 2 or 3 days, and they try to go out every a couple of times, at least 2 times a week, because when they get these complaints, they have to go out, take pictures. Then they come back to City Hall and they compile the paperwork together along with these pictures. And like one of the girls behind the desk was joking this afternoon when we were talking about it, and she says, yeah, when Tamika gets back, she's bossy because she's trying to get extra hands to help her address all of these envelopes for certified letters and all. And then, of course, they have to get those to the post office. And there's where it really slows down. Once it gets to the post office, we have to allow the post office time to deliver these letters. Those letters are delivered, certified letters are delivered, they're either rejected, they're signed for and accepted. No one was there to accept it. They may attempt a second and third time. And sometimes it can be a week or more before we get that notification back saying that it was either signed, it was rejected, or no such person was there or whatever. So now we're looking at probably 2 weeks in to your complaint or someone's complaint. And now, once we get that back from the post office, then the 5 days starts. So then we give that property owner, legally have to give that property owner 5 more days. Although they didn't cut it for the past 6 months, we got to give them 5 more days to cut the grass, regardless whether they accepted the letter or not. After that 5 days, then we have to contact the contractor, because we can't contact the contractor and say, hey, in 3 more days, this property is going to need to be cut. So put it on your schedule. Because in 3 more days, it may be cut, and they've already put it on their schedule and pushed others off. And so we have to wait for that 5 days and get that contractor. Then that contractor puts that on his schedule, and then he cuts it, hopefully that same week. So we're looking at probably up to a month is not unlikely for one of these properties, that process, these 75 violations over the past month and a half, takes probably up to a month to get through that process, unfortunately. What I've tried to do over the past month and a half, I think we started a month and a half, maybe 2 months, is I tried to use some of our city forces. Now, those men are overwhelmed with grass growing in medians and areas that the city, parks and areas that the city needs to cut. And so we were trying to use some city forces for a couple of reasons. To help out with the contractors, but also to save a little money. Because, as you stated, many of these properties, the people don't live here. I would be willing to put money on it that many of the heirs of most of these properties couldn't drive up to that property if you told them they owned it in the city of Crowley, because they probably never seen it. So the city, chances are, will never get paid for the monies that they're spending on these properties. Someone's paying the property taxes, $60, $80, $90 a year for this blighted property, because they don't want to let grandma or grandpa's property go, but they're not paying those fees. And the city has never adjudicated any property, so that's another process that I'm trying to work on to see if we can go through that process to start adjudicating properties. And if it's even worth the city to do that, because that's a much longer process. If somebody purchases property at a tax sale, that's a 3-year process for someone to pay the taxes, and then it becomes yours. But you also have to pay the fees of the grass and the blighted property and uninhabited dwelling and all of these other things that are attached to it. But I try to call some of these property owners because a lot of times that does work quicker than the letter. Unfortunately, many of these properties, there's nobody to call. So I'll tell you that the grass is growing very quickly, a lot quicker than the city can keep up with it. But we are working on it. I promise you this. And I don't know that I've ever said this publicly on a recording, but in February of 21, I chose to give up my career that I loved and I miss every day. And I'd go back today to it if I could, because I miss it, being a firefighter. In October of 23, before I was even elected, I closed my business and gave up an income of $300,000 a year plus. I did that because I'm vested, just like you ladies. I'm vested in this city because this is my city also, and I love this city, and I'm not going anywhere. I may go on vacation from time to time, but I'm going to die right here in this city. Hopefully in many years to come, but I'm going to die right here in this city. But I gave up all of that stuff for $77,000 a year. $77,200 and some change is the mayor's salary. And if you go by the hours I work, I'm not making minimum wage. But I didn't do it for fame, and I did not do it for fortune. Most certainly did not. I did it because I care about this city. And I promised y'all something when I was running for mayor. And I'm keeping that promise. Believe it or not, it's taking a whole lot more time than I expected it to. But I promised you that we were going to clean up. Now, some of the demolition stuff was put on hold, and blame me for it, because I thought we had an opportunity to save not only the property owners, but the city some money. Because again, many of these properties, the city will never collect the fees that are owed on these properties. We could literally bankrupt the city by cutting grass and demolishing properties in this city because we're not going to get paid back for these properties. Nobody owns them, or somebody owns them, and and then once we attach enough fees to them, thousands, sometimes tens of thousands of dollars fees attached to these properties, there ain't a soul in this country is going to buy that property for that much. So we could literally bankrupt the city by cleaning up. And I'm not willing to bankrupt the city by cleaning up, but I'm willing to spend as much money as we possibly can to do so. And I made you that promise, and I'm going to keep that promise. Unfortunately, it's taken me longer than I wanted it to take. We had someone in here last week complaining that we stole all his stuff. And I showed you a picture of his stuff. But you know what? Bring us to court. Because the people in that neighborhood could not be happier that that happened. Because that's been like that for 5, 6, 8 years. These properties that y'all have on the video and these properties that we're talking about have been that way for many, many years. And it is unfair for those neighbors to live next to that. And I'll promise you again, we are working on it. We're back head over heels we're waiting on some prices from some contractors to start demoing. My hopes are this week we can tell them, go do these addresses. And we're going to start doing that. I got with Mr. Landry because another thing that I wanted to do is I wanted to give each one of these men and women and myself the opportunity to prove to the people, because I know that's what I was asked of by the people. So I know that's what each one of those were asked of, to clean up our city. And I wanted to give us all that opportunity to make those tough decisions in front of the people that come up here with those properties saying, oh, that's my grandma's property, there's nothing wrong with it. And then we soft-hearted and offer to give them another 60 days to do something with it, and they ain't doing nothing with it. Because they had 60 years, some of them, that didn't do nothing with it. And that didn't really work. So, another mistake I made. But I got with Mr. Landry, and we're moving forward on getting the hearing officer, the blight court, the blight judge, so that it's not an elected official who's going to make the decision. And there's no politics that's going to be played in it. When the complaint comes in, the inspector's going to go and check it out. He's going to turn in his report to this judge. And the judge is going to say, you have 30 days to demolish it, or you have 60 days to demolish it, or you have 60 days to repair it. And it doesn't matter what you think about me because you don't vote for me. And so we're going to take the politics out of it and hopefully be able to move forward with some of this stuff. Because I'll tell you, the last meeting we had on blight, there were 3 or 4 properties that belonged to one family. And he stood up there and said, I don't think nothing's wrong with them. That's my homes, that's my properties, that's my mama's, that's my daddy's. I don't think nothing's wrong with it. We can fix it. You can't even see them. The trees have grown up around them so much. And the comment was made, well, maybe we need to give them the opportunity to do something with it. I said, he already told you what he's going to do with it. Nothing. So I made some mistakes in my 17 months as mayor because I tried to do it a way that slowed things down, and it didn't work. But I promise you, moving forward, we're going to make a difference. It's a hell of a process, and it is painstaking. But that's what I'm here for. So we're going to make it happen. I'll tell you that the grass in the ditches and on the side of the roadway, that's not a city problem. That's a people problem. Our people need to realize that that's their responsibility to cut the grass up to the roadway. Why would you cut your yard but not the ditch? There are certain areas that the city needs to cut because there's no home there or whatever it may be. And I could give a list of places, but overall, there's miles of ditches in this city that are not cut, but the yard is. Why? Because that's a city property? No. That's your front yard. The properties you see with culverts in front of them that don't have a ditch, those people stop at the culvert and don't cut to the edge of the road? Of course not. Why would you do that? So we have a people problem with cutting our ditches. We have to get our people to understand that that's part of your responsibility also. Because there's no way the state of Louisiana, the parish, Acadia and no parish, cuts every ditch, every mile of ditch in the parish and every mile of ditch in the state. People that live on state highways, they cut their ditches, not the state. We can't hire enough people to keep up every mile of ditch in this city. It's impossible. Now, we got to keep it clean. We got to keep it flowing. And it's a right of way for our people to enjoy sewer, water, electricity, gas, and yes, drainage. But it's our responsibility as citizens to keep up the grass up to the edge of the roadway. So we need to educate our people. It's not, people aren't, and when I say we need to educate them, I'm not saying that people are ignorant or uneducated, but they don't realize sometimes that that's part of our responsibility as citizens to do some of that. So I share your frustration, I promise you, just as, and I don't have to talk for any of these men and women, just as they do, because most of them keep up with me at least on a weekly basis and ask me how things are going and what do we need and where we're at on certain things. None of them are scared to call me, and I don't want them to be scared to call me. I've got 2 phones, and Miss Marks called me on both today, by the way. I didn't answer on the first one. She called me on the second one right away. And I said, and so they're not scared to call me, and I don't want that. And I don't want any of you scared to call me. I want to be there. And if I haven't proven that by now, I've failed you. I have failed you. I will be there to help and do whatever I can. I promise you that. But I do share your frustration, and I understand it. I understand it. And thank you all very much for coming to the council and speaking to us. Mr. Martin.
First of all, there were questions. Y'all got to excuse me. I'm still dealing with a temporary implant, and if it's slurred, I apologize. First of all, I got a problem with the fact that that video wasn't shown. And I don't know if any of you have gone to Jamaica. Okay, when you get to Jamaica, where that big ship docks, that's not the real Jamaica. Okay? They show you what they want you to see. When we do the cleanest city in Crowley, this city shows what they want them to see. Okay? Excuse the reference, but Avenue E is what I call the Mason-Dixie line. Whether the reference right or wrong, it's what I call it. Okay? Anything to the north or east of that it is what it is. But anything to the west of that, it is because it is. All right? Now, I want to apologize to Ms. Byers, okay, for the simple fact. I've been knowing Ms. Byers since, and she's always been the kind person. She'll give you the shirt off her back. That's the kind of person she is. And for her not to be able to come outside as reference through the report, it's just unfathomable. Now, I'm going to ask this question right here. How many of us was on this council when the things that you said that we going to do was already passed? It was dealing with the blight, cab, almost 200 disgraced properties or whatever, abandoned, whatever it may be. What happened to them? We also started a court. The court that you mentioned was already started.
No, sir.
Well, wait,
it was-
if I may finish.
It was never started.
Well, that's, I was under the impression that it did, because if I'm not mistaken, this judge or whatever, his job or her job was supposed to handle nothing but blighted property.
You are
Nothing but
correct.
that.
You are
Okay.
correct.
All right. We have properties out there that's abandoned or what have you, or should have been destroyed, demolished, or what have you, from 2014. Okay? During the previous administration, not one time, I don't remember seeing code enforcement in this building. We had people come in, they asked questions. We can't give the answer, but the person that could was never here. Now, you gave a long synopsis, and don't get me wrong. I mean, I listened to everything you said. This is your meeting, okay? But not one time did I think that you addressed the problem that they asked. They asked the question, what the hell are we going to do? Okay? Look, at our committee meeting, and those who were here, you remember I asked one question. Who is going to cut the grass? I can care less about tearing down the houses. It was spoken about the grant that we tried. I spoke to Emily Stoneman today, and she told me that she put in all the work for the grant. I think St. Martinville got it, and we didn't get it because with some open grants or what have you. So I started making phone calls to find out what's the remedy around this city. I called Rain. I called Jennings. I called Opelousas. I spoke to their code enforcement. When I asked the guy from Rain, Louisiana, I think it's I forgot, Mike something, whatever. He's the code enforcement man. And he told me what they do is they have people that works for the city, and they go out and cut the grass. They bill the people. They send them an invoice. And if they don't pay it, they put it on their taxes. It don't matter how many times you do it. You made a statement that it would bankrupt the city. No, it won't bankrupt the city. No, because somewhere down the line, that property is going to be sold. I don't care. I mean, it might be 10 years from now, but it will be sold, and the city will redeem that money. I called Jennings. They had a similar way. They, Brad, I'm pretty sure you're more familiar with the way Jennings do. As far as your son-in-law. But the way they do it, it's a pretty good thing. They retroactive. They'll go out, cut the grass, and every time they cut, they just add another one. Then I went to Opelousas. And lo and behold, the best of all, they don't care what it is. You know why? Because they got their own crew. They got their own crew that goes out. They work for the city of Opelousas. They go out and they do all the grass cutting. They got their own excavator. They got their own team. This man said the way they work it is that he has the authority from the council, the mayor and the council, that if it's a little sharpshooter house, instead of charging $3,000 to do it, they'll do it for $1,500 just to get rid of it, okay? But they're paying workers about an hour to go keep the grass down. And I asked them, what length activate y'all's protocol? 1 foot. If the grass is 1 foot high, they actually go and they send the letter. We have people that's supposed to be riding. I mean, I don't know if they're still here because we don't know what the hell's going on with that. We had a person that was going around town, and his job was to write up properties, turn them in, and send citations. I don't know if we still have this person or not. I don't know. But, Mayor, I asked the question at the last meeting, after everything was said, who going to cut the grass? Now, Percy House, which is the yellow house on the corner from y'all, Percy's been dead for, I don't know, 10, 15 years. I forgot. Not that? Okay, well, thank you. But the house is still there, have the same tin on the door? Well, I'm just saying. And the grass is steady growing, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, the only thing I'm trying to tell you is this. First impression is the one that gives you the insight of where you're going and what you're doing. And I want to give the ladies all the kudos in the world. When I watched that video, it showed the true Crowley. What, y'all ashamed of the true Crowley? That's what it seemed like. I don't know who told them it was illegal to show it or what have you. That's the first I ever heard of that. Okay?
That's the first I hear of it tonight myself.
Well,
As president of Crowley Alumni Chapter, Delta Sigma Theta, we're a national organization. I made the decision to send the video to Alderman Woolrich, Martin, and the mayor, and I asked you to share with the council members. We were not in the position to determine if any of these properties on this video was pending litigation, and we definitely did not want to step on any legalities that you may have had with these properties. So me, as president of our chapter, I made that decision that we would not publicly show this video, but relied on you to share it with the council members.
Thank you for clearing that up. Thank you.
okay, Chair, appreciate that, okay? Which I understand them being a national organization. But at the end of the day, I just feel, I'd send Byron and the Brad. Brad, you chair public safety. That's your wheelhouse, okay? We had a good talk about it. But the main thing is this. They asked the question, what are we going to do about it? And Mayor, with all due respect, you talked about, well, we got to send a letter. We done send letters to these people since I've been on this council. Ain't nothing been done, okay? We had, and y'all can attest, how many times did we have code enforcement here in the last administration? Okay, call it like it is, you know? You know, I'm at a point now where I'm starting to see things through, as they say, a glass half full when you're looking down, instead of it being full. Some say you see the same bottom, but I disagree. This city in itself, it's time to clean this mess up. You made the statement that the city took upon themselves to go clean this certain person's property where he claimed that he's going to sue or what have you. Well, guess what? Let the rest of them sue too. Go clean up the property. And if they want to sue, bring it on. Because I'm pretty sure we'll win that. Okay? It's time that we take a proactive approach on this. I've been fighting this for years and years and years. And it's always the same thing. The legalities of, we got to do this and that. Well, Opelousas, they give them 5 days to get that cleaned up, okay, according to their code enforcement. And if it's not, they send another letter. And I learned something in one city, which it's just one of the cities that I spoke. Guess who goes along with them? The police department, okay? So all I'm trying to say is this. We are the legislative body, which y'all know. Only thing we can do is make the laws and hope that the laws are carried out. These laws have been made for years. They've been on the books for years, okay? It's time to cut all the crap out and blaming this one and that. I don't want to blame nobody. We all in this together. Every person here was elected by the people, okay? We took an oath to do whatever it takes to make sure this city is safe and sound. Well, you can't, and with no prejudice involved in this, you can't keep North Crowley and East Crowley clean, and West Crowley and South Crowley is the second looked upon, okay? I'm just using that as a cliche, because the main areas of deployment and grass It's in West Crowley and South Crowley. And that's by a reasoning, it's the people that owns it. Okay? I can make the statement that the people in North Crowley and East Crowley, they take pride in cutting their grass and doing whatever. Okay? But if you're out of town and you can't catch up with nobody, somebody got to be responsible. This city in itself holds jurisdictional, I forgot the word that's used with the LMA, but we are jurisdictional. We are over this city. We make the laws that governs this city, okay? The judicials, that's our police department. His job is to make sure law and order is here. This legislative body, we make the rules, we make the laws, and pass it on to the administrator, which is you, okay? And when we leave here, we done gave the marching orders to be taken care of. If it's not taken care of, well, we done our job, okay? It's time for us to quit sitting on our hands and kicking the can down the road. Listen, if you go down just 7th Street, there's 9 properties on 7th Street before we even get to the tracks. That it looked like somebody just, you know what? I'm in the business of growing weeds. Okay? Then the other crazy part about it, it becomes a public safety hazard. If our police officers, God forbid, have to run down someone and they jump out the vehicle, what have you, hell, the grass is so high, all you got to do is sit down.
Mr. Martin, can you
Okay,
close,
I'm wrapping up,
please?
I'm closing. But what I'm trying to say is, and if they, God forbid, they run inside one of these abandoned buildings and shelter themselves, and it'd be another situation. So I am in agreement with the Deltas and all the citizens of Crowley. It's time to get something done, man. It's time to show the whole city of Crowley. What you say, rice and easy, whatever it may be, because we all in this together. And when you pay $1, when you pay 1 cent in tax, nobody here can say, well, I'm going to dollar store, what have you, and I want my taxes to go to North Crowley. I want mine to go to South Crowley, mine to go to East Crowley, and mine to go to West Crowley. We don't make that determination. The citizens pay the taxes, and we have a judicial responsibility to make sure that they adhere to what they're paying for.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. And thank you all again for coming this evening. Okay, agenda amendments. No agenda amendments. Appointments, approval of minutes for the regular council meeting held on June 18th, 24. Need a motion? Offered by Alderman Core. Second by Alderman Martin. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Mayor's report, sales tax chart. The 2.5-cent sales tax, as you can see, just like last month, we're kind of leveled out here. For the past few years, we've been on an incline. Obviously, that was going to level out at some point, and here we are. We're leveling out. About $7,000 less than last year at this time. Sewer user fees is still on an incline for the sewer user fees. Status report of audit findings for fiscal year 23. Again, that is required for us to meet our audit findings. You have that report in your packet. And we continue, obviously, to work on those audit findings. Budget to actual comparison as of May 31st of 24 is also in your packets. Hey, we're getting some numbers, y'all, on a regular basis now. And just a FYI, you were handed some budget paperwork this evening. That is to replace the sheets that you got tonight, is to replace within the packet that you got last week, replace those sheets with these sheets. That'll be the legal size pages. All of those will be replaced with this, what you got tonight. Last week you got that whole packet with the monies. I'll get you yours. So last week's paperwork, replace that we got a few updated numbers on it for you to review. Replace that with that, and then the general fund recap page is one page, and then Public Works street expenditure detail, and there's a 2-page there. So those would be to replace those pages in that packet you got last month. If you have any questions, please ask. I can explain to you. We didn't give you the whole packet again this week. You have it since last week. All right, standing committee reports. Public Works Committee, Alderman Dorey, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Public Works Committee convened Tuesday, July 9th, 2024, 5 p.m. in the council chambers. A quorum was present. There were no action items, and under non-action items, Public Works Director Albert John was not present. The mayor gave a report about Public Works. Street Commissioner Wesley Jacobs presented his monthly report. City Engineer Tim Mader presented his report. No further business come before Public Works Committee. The committee recessed.
Thank you, sir. Let's see, Utility Committee, Alderman Martin, please, sir.
Thank you, sir. Utility Committee convened July 9th, 2024 at 5 p.m. in council chambers. Quorum was present. A motion on the action item, a motion was made by myself and second by Alderman Jeff Dorey to approve partial payment estimate number 4 to Volute Incorporated for the new ultraviolet disinfectant system at the wastewater treatment facility project in the amount of $94,283.85. Motion carried, and I so move.
Offered by Alderman Martin, second by Alderwoman Marks. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
A motion was made by Alderwoman Sandy Marks and second by Alderman Jeff Dorey to approve partial payment estimate number 17 to NCMC LLC for the LCDBG fiscal year 2020-2021 rehabilitation of the sewage collection system project in the amount of $38,916.58. Motion carried, and I so move.
Offered by Alderman Martin, second by Alderwoman Marks. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Under non-action items, wastewater superintendent Tim Crater presented his monthly report. City engineer Tim Mader presented his monthly report to the council. There being no further action to come before this committee recess.
Thank you, sir. Recreation, Alderman Ashby, please.
Okay.
Oh,
Thank
yep.
you, Chairman Ashby. Okay, the Recreation Committee convened Tuesday, July 9th, 2024 at 5 p.m. in the council chambers. A quorum was present. On the action items, there were none. Under non-action items, Recreation Director Zach Dion presented his monthly Recreation Department report. City Engineer Tim Meter had nothing to report for the Recreation Committee. There was no further business to come before the Recreation Committee. The committee recessed.
Thank you, sir. Zoning and Annexation, Alderman Reggie, please.
Thank you. Zoning and Annexation Committee convened Tuesday, July 9th, 2024, 5 p.m. in the council chambers. A quorum was present. Under action items, a motion was made by myself and seconded by Alderwoman Sandy Marks to approve the Crowley Planning Commission favorable recommendation on the proposed VFW Drive Carmichael property annexation. Motion carried, and I so move.
Offered by Alderman Reggie, second by Alderwoman Marks. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
A motion was made by myself and seconded by Alderman Vernon Morton to approve the proposed subdivision of Carmichael property located on VFW Drive as shown on the preliminary and final plat and approved by the Crowley Planning Commission, being 16.393 acres located in section 29T9S R1E, City of Crowley, Acadia Parish, and to approve its zoning as C3 contingent upon review and approval of the plat by the city's design review agent, the city engineer. Motion carried, and I so move.
Offered by Alderman Reggie, second by Alderman Martin. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
A motion was made by myself and seconded by Alderwoman Sandy Marks to approve the Crowley Planning Commissioner's favorable recommendation for conditional use to allow for a veterinary clinic, hospital, Rice City Animal Hospital, 625 8th Street, lots east, lot 14, 15, 16, block 128, flood zone AE, City of Crowley, Acadia Parish. Motion carried, and I so move.
Offered by Alderman Reggie, second by Alderman Ashby. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
A motion was made by myself and seconded by Alderman Vernon Morton to approve from the Planning Commissioner's recommendation for application for zoning to allow a 1,200 square foot metal building at 19 Judge Cannon Drive, Lot 80, City of Crowley, Acadia Parish. Motion carried, and I so move.
Offered by Alderman Reggie, second by Alderwoman Marks. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
There was no action items, and there was no further business to come before Zoning and Annexation Committee, and the committee recessed.
Thank you, sir. Public Safety, Alderman Corr, please, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. The Public Safety Committee convened Tuesday, July 9th, 2024 at 5 p.m. in the council chambers, and a quorum was present. Under action items, a motion was made by myself and seconded by Byron Wildridge to consider approving a liquor permit for ShopRite 1 located at 525 South Parkson Avenue regarding a 2024 Class B package liquor permit. The motion carried, and I so move.
Offered by Alderman Corr, second by Alderman Martin. Discussion?
I have to recuse myself.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Alderman Reggie recuses himself. Motion carries.
Under non-action items, Chief of Police Troy Hebert presented his monthly report. Fire Chief Louis Romero was not present. City Inspector Tony Duhon presented his monthly report. The mayor updated the council on blighted properties and the status of grant to provide financial assistance to property owners for the cost of demolition. It was discussed that code enforcement officials should become more proactive in their duties to identify code violations in addition to responding to complaints. Mr. Tony Duhon told the council that when they go out to look at properties that have been reported, they are now making note of other properties in need of cleanup and grass cutting. Attorney Mike Landry spoke about the conditional use permits and zoning variances. Alderman Brad Corr requested that Mr. Landry provide a summary to indicate when signatures from property owners is required to assist members of the council and the planning commission. Mr. Jason Munt spoke to the council about the city of Crowley removing property from his yard and upon the city right-of-way. There was no further action or discussion to come before the committee, and the committee recessed.
Thank you, sir. Let's see. Public Buildings, Alderman Wildridge, please, sir.
Public Buildings Committee convened Tuesday, June 11, 2024 at 5 p.m. in the council's chambers. A quorum was present. Under action items, a motion was made by myself and seconded by Alderman Ledgerly to allow Patricia Pauls, a local non-profit organization who raised money for St. Jude's Children's Hospital, is asking for the city of Crowley to co-sponsor the Mr. and Mrs. Merry Christmas pageant by allowing use of the Rice Festival building free of charge, aside from the cleanup fee. Tentative dates on November the 9th, 2024 for rehearsal and November the 10th, 2024 for the pageant. Motion carried, and I so move.
Offered by Alderman Wilridge, second by Alderman Martin. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
On the non-action items, the mayor and council discussed the issue with the cemetery in Crowley. There being no further business, public buildings recess.
Thank you, sir. Insurance and Personnel, Alderwoman Marks, please.
Thank you, Mayor. The Insurance and Personnel Committee convened. There was a quorum in attendance. The Insurance and Personnel Committee had no action items and non-action items. However, at this time, I want to remind all employees, everyone, to check your email for the 2024 Health Benefit Fair. Everyone is required to attend, and this is going to be August the 6th and 7th. So it's coming up. Check your schedule. It will give you your timeline to attend, but everyone has to attend. So check your email. Just went out this afternoon. There was no further business to come before the Insurance and Personnel, and the committee rest.
Thank you, ma'am. Let's see, Community Economic Development, Alderman Reggie.
Thank you. Community and Economic Development Committee convened Tuesday, July 9th, 2024, 5 p.m. in the council chambers. A quorum was present. Under action items, there were none. Under non-action items, Alderwoman Katie Chasson spoke about upcoming events in Crowley. Dr. Ezora Proctor spoke to the council about the annual backpack and school supply giveaway upcoming in August. She also thanked all the people who came out and helped with the beautification project on West Hutchison. And there was no further business to come before Community and Economic Development Committee, and the committee recessed.
Thank you, sir. Revenue and Finance, Alderman Lachele.
Thank you, Mayor. The Revenue and Finance Committee convened Tuesday, July 9th, 2024 at 5 p.m. in the council chambers. A quorum was present. On the action items, a motion was made by Alderman Vernon Martin and seconded by Alderwoman Katie Chasson to approve a resolution committing local funds for the construction cost which exceed the allocated state funding for the Urban Park and Pavilion project, which entails the Facility Planning and Control Project Number 50-M58-22-01, 5.50001131, which is stated from the state. The motion carried, and I so move.
Offered by Alderman Lachele, second by Alderman Martin. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay. There was no further business to come before the Revenue Finance Committee. The committee recessed.
Thank you, sir. Ordinances. All right, we need a motion to consider ordinance 1543. Offered by Alderman Marks, second by offered by Alderwoman Marks, second by Alderman Martin. Discussion. We need a roll call vote.
Chuck Ashby?
Yes.
Katie Chasson is absent. Brad Core?
Yes.
Jeff Dorey? Yes. Dickie Lachele? Yes. Vernon Martin? Yes. Sandra Marks? Yes. Samuel Reggie?
Yes.
Byron Woolridge? Yes. Passes unanimous.
Thank you, ma'am. Resolutions. Approval of a resolution to introduce an ordinance and call for a public hearing for the amendment of the operating budget, of revenues and expenditures for fiscal year 24. A resolution of the Mayor and Board of Aldermen of the City of Crowley, Acadia Parish, Louisiana, introducing and a proposed ordinance for amendment of the operating budget of revenues and expenditures for the fiscal year 2024, and adoption of the operating budget of revenues and expenditures for the fiscal year of 2024 as amended, fixing a date for a public hearing to be held to consider the amendment of the budget for fiscal year '24 and the adoption of the annual budget for fiscal year '24 as amended, and authorizing publication of notice of a public hearing and availability of the proposed amended budget for fiscal year 2024. Offered by Alderman Martin, second by Alderwoman Marks. Discussion? It is, the public hearing date will be next, August's meeting,
August 20th.
August 20th. Public hearing will be set for August 20th. And this is for the amended budget and adoption of the current budget we're in, to amend it and then adopt that as the '24 budget. This is the first time we do this since, in the last 17 months, yeah. All right. Any more discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Approval of a we don't need a roll call for resolution, yeah.
Wait a minute,
Resolution?
I think these do call roll call.
Let's do a roll call.
Public hearing?
It's a resolution.
But we're not
But-
doing the millage right now. We're doing the millage in September. No, this is just the budgets. Yeah,
Okay,
you don't-
yeah, we're good. All right, approval of a resolution to introduce an ordinance and call for public hearing for the adoption of the operating budget of revenues and expenditures for fiscal year '25. A resolution of the Mayor and Board of Aldermen of the City of Crowley, Acadia Parish, Louisiana, introducing a proposed ordinance for the annual budget for fiscal year 2025, fixing a date for a public hearing to be held to consider the adoption of the annual budget for fiscal year 2025, and authorizing publication of notice of a public hearing and availability of the proposed annual budget for fiscal year 2025. Offered by Alderwoman Marks, second by Alderman Martin. Discussion? And this is for the new budget going forward. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. And that same public hearing will be August the 20th. All right. Approval of a resolution introducing a proposed ordinance and calling for a public hearing to amend, supplement, and reenact Section 3.13 of Article 3 of Appendix A of the Code of Ordinance of the City of Crowley to add subsection 3.1306, prohibiting the use and occupancy of tents, travel trailers, camper trailers, park model recreational vehicle, recreational park trailers, FEMA trailers, motor homes, or recreational vehicles as residents. A resolution of the Mayor and Board of Aldermen of the City of Crowley, Acadia Parish, Louisiana, introducing a proposed ordinance and calling for a public hearing concerning same. That public hearing again will be on August the 20th.
I so move.
Offered by Alderman Core, second by Alderwoman Marks. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. The proclamations, Mr. Danny Bellard is not able to be here this evening, so we're going to forego that resolution because I'd really like to have him here when we read the resolution, but I'm actually going to attend the civil service meeting, and he will be at that meeting, so I will then read it at that meeting and present it to him then. Mr. Danny Bellard served 15 years, I think it is, on the Civil Service Board, the Fire and Police Civil Service Board, 13 years. And he has retired from that board position. So we have a proclamation to thank him for his service and his time to the city and our public safety departments. Engineers report, Mr. Mader. Good. Motion to adjourn? Offered by Alderman Core, second by Alderwoman Marks. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.